Now the wrath of God is not only towards idolaters, but the wrath of God is against anything that is contrary to his defined will. So if we look at the wrath towards idolaters, and we look at 1 Samuel 15 verse 18, and the Lord sent thee on a journey and said, go and utterly destroy the sinners, the Amalekites, and fight against them until they be consumed. There's an example. There's a direct command of God, which Dawkins would interpret as genocide, right? Where he says, go and destroy the sinners, the Amalekites. Now he defines the Amalekites as sinners. And sin is the transgression of the law, according to John, right? So they were transgressors of God's law to the nth degree. And they had to be consumed. So there was a command, wipe out the Amalekites. They are a curse upon the earth, and they will contaminate and destroy humanity. Get rid of them. Their spirit is contagious. And this command to destroy the Amalekites was given to King Saul, right? 1 Samuel 15:20. And Saul said unto Samuel, yea, I have obeyed the voice of the Lord, and have gone the way which the Lord sent me, and have brought Agag, the king of Amalek, and have utterly destroyed the Amalekites. Firstly, he didn't destroy everything.
No, because the king is still there.
God made such an example of them, they weren't even to take their goods or their animals. They weren't to enrich themselves from the products of evil. Just get rid of it all. It's like taking a pot of gold and dumping it into the sea. Very hard for them to do, because they rather wanted the contaminated washed money than to do without it. So he brought the sheep because he didn't want to sacrifice his own sheep. And he was selfish. And he didn't kill the king of Amalek. And it's obvious that he didn't kill them all, because the Amalekite remnants were still there for a very, very long time. So he didn't do what he was told to do. He had to get rid of them all, and he didn't do it. Now let's have a look at the death of Saul. 2 Samuel 1:12. He and his son were killed, right? And they mourned and wept and fasted until even for Saul and Jonathan his son, and for the people of the Lord, and for the house of Israel, because they were fallen by the sword. So eventually Saul was overcome by his enemies. In this case it was the Philistines that they fought against. And then we read in verse 13, and David said unto the young man that told him, whence art thou? And he answered, I am the son of a stranger, an Amalekite. Now Saul had fallen, and he wasn't dead, but he had been severely wounded, and he knew that he was going to die. So he fell upon his own sword, but that didn't kill him either. So then he called this other guy, who happened to be this one, and he happened to be the son of a stranger, an Amalekite. And he killed him. He chopped his head off, right? And David said unto him, how wast thou not afraid to stretch forth thy hand to destroy the Lord's anointed? And David called one of the young men and said, go near and fall upon him. And he smote him that he died.
So he took care of the Amalekite.
He took care of the Amalekite. Now what's the moral of the story, Martin? The moral is, if you do not kill the Amalekite, he's going to kill you.
He's coming back and he's chopping your head off.
All right. Now, the Bible defined the Amalekites as sinners.
Transgression of the law.
So let's reduce it to sin.
Sin.
If you do not kill sin in your life, it's going to kill you. You have to kill it. You have to die to self. So is this unjust, what has transpired here? I mean, what did the man do? He did what Saul asked him.
And if Saul did what God asked him, that man would have not been there.
That man would not have been there, no. And he probably wouldn't have had the battle with the Philistines and lost it.
Exactly.
Everything would have turned out differently. So one little disobedience, and you have dire consequences for the whole nation.
Yeah.
Because not only Saul was affected, the entire nation was affected. Thousands upon thousands suffered as a consequence.
Yeah.
So, Martin, the moral of the story is, if God is a God of love, then God is a God of justice as well. The standard of justice is the law.
That's it.
And the law defines sin. And once sin reaches a point of no return, then it has to be eradicated together with the one who is performing it. So is this unjust or is this just?
It's absolutely just.
All right, let's compare it. A mass murderer is on the loose. He has an assault rifle. He's indiscriminately killing people left, right, and center. Is it just for the police to take him out?
Yes. Yes.
Is this what God did?
Yes.
This is what God did. But he applied it to a whole nation that was going to destroy the rest of humanity if it was permitted to exist any longer.